Hi there, it's me. I'm gonna put my glasses on. I found a place to walk. I'm gonna put my scarf on. I thought I'd start the video without it because it's cold again. It got warm for about a minute and then it dropped down and got very cold again. I found another place to walk. I have at least two memories on this street. Actually three. This is another industrial area. I used to work at this. I'm going to show you this building. It's not the same company anymore, but I used to work at this company in 1989. In February, I was working there. Here, I'll show you it. I'm outside in their parking lot. They're probably going to wonder who I am. They're going to think I'm an international spy because they're a business. You see that business behind me? That's where I worked in 1989. I worked in the office. To the right side of the door was my desk. I was an office worker, and I was always a secretary, typist type person. I filed and I could type, and if you could type back in the 80s, you could get a job, anywhere, 70s even, the late 70s, until outsourcing made it hard to get a job. Now there's train tracks. Let me show you. This is all just industrial, but you know what? The street doesn't have snow on it today, so I'm able to walk on it, and so that's what I'm looking for, is a place to walk. Maybe you'd rather see the traffic. Rather see the traffic in the train or the businesses. There's something that's open 8 to 12 Saturdays. The body shop is open 8 to 12 Saturday. It must be. Anyway, I'm keeping my word, and like I told you, I'm walking, and I hope you are too. Walking is one of the best forms of advertising. I thought fine of exercise, and that'll be enough of my what is it called? Get up on enough of my soapbox. So I wonder if those people will want to tow my car if it's there for like 10. No, what'll I be? 20 minutes. You're supposed to get your heart rate up. I don't worry about all that. The vitals of that, because if you worry about all that stuff, you won't walk, or you won't do anything. You can't complicate it. There's another fine place to walk. It's not far from my home, and I can get some good. I know it's a straightaway street. Oh, okay, that's one memory. I worked at that business, and another memory is when I was a kid. When I was like 12. I'd say 12 years old. I talked about walking a lot in my lifetime, how it's important exercise for me. And I've always walked. So anyway, as a younger kid, we took this route. A friend of mine and I walked this street to get to a mall. Okay, there was another mall built later, closer by the end of this way down, but this mall was. And you had to take this straight away, all the way down, quite a ways, to get to another street that goes south. And we walked this street, and it was in the summer, and I was up. I know exactly where I was. A mosquito flew into my eye. A mosquito. It flew in, and it didn't. I was like, ah! You know what happens when something happens like that. And I didn't know what to do. I think my friend laughed. That's what a good friend does, huh? It's hard to be 12 and something like that happens and you want to be cool, and then this mosquito flies in your eye. It doesn't look cool, when you're all afraid and hyper. And actually, I'm thinking, did my friend get stung by a bee there? No, I don't think so, but now I'm not going to be able to breathe good. This is a beautiful building, and then for some reason, I have a desire to own a building, and I have had that desire, and I believe that I will own a building one day, or a church, and I don't like an old church that's not a church anymore, and I could convert it, and I don't know what my purpose is in it. This is where I was by the split rail fence. This was pretty sure where I was, except I bet there was trees or bushes. Those are the little ones. I know it was right here, and it was in the hot summer. We used to have beautiful summers when I was a kid. We had beautiful winters. And anyway, about the building, I believe it's in my future, and I don't know why, but I'm going to find out. A day at a time, I just do my job and work forward, and we'll see where we get to. Now, I used to have a bad pain or a heaviness in my chest when I walked, and I don't have that anymore. And I think that's from using Miracle Mineral Solution. I smoked for a lot of years. I smoked from when I was about 10 years old. And I told my priest lately, we were talking about smoking, I said I smoked since 10. And he said, 10 o'clock? And I said, no, years old. I said I started smoking at 10. He said, 10 o'clock? I said, no. Okay, here's where I'm getting near trees and the split rail fence, so I bet it was here. And then there's trees beyond this, yeah. See? Look at that big stone. If there was snow and you were walking on the street, sidewalk, you'd fall on that thing. You'd hurt yourself. So anyway, I used to have this big heaviness on my chest when I walked, and it was very annoying and bothersome. And that was after I quit smoking. And then, ooh, that was a dead bird. I didn't quit that long ago, and so, but after that's not smart. I got the one with the glove out and the one, or whatever. I was holding the phone with the hand that didn't have the glove. Anyway, since I've been using MMS, I don't have the heaviness on my chest anymore. And I breathe better. I started smoking at 10, and I didn't quit until I was 37. I was 37, and I quit for 5 years. Yeah, for 5 years. So for 8 to 9, 40, 41, 42. And at 42, I started smoking. I picked up cigarettes. And I smoked it took 2 years to get the desire back. I smoked, and I ate Nicorette gum, and I used the patch. And I couldn't get the desire along with the willingness. You need the two. You need to have you have to work hard. You have to get grace to want to quit smoking if you smoke. If you're a heavy smoker like me, I was up to 4 packs a day. That's a lot of smoking. So I quit. 42, I have 43, 44. At 44, and I'm 59, so that's just 15 years. But I smoked for who knows how many years. If there's a guy, he's going to think I'm talking to myself. I'll turn back anyway. Woo! My left knee, it doesn't give out, but it shifts. The cartilage has been broken down behind the kneecap for a long time. That was diagnosed when I was about 22 years old. And it might be all that walking I did, but then again, it's also what do you call calcium. It's the calcium buildup without magnesium. I drank a lot of milk as a kid, What we're supposed to do is drink milk and not walk by that dead bird. There was a sewer pipe right there open. You could really get hurt on the street. Let's see. I grew up by these trains, and I actually find it very beautiful to sleep to the sound of the trains, because I grew up within a mile of here. Maybe, a mile. And I still live within a mile of here. That's something, isn't it? 59 years old. I moved out of Cleveland I lived in the city nearby for about 2 years. And then I moved back into Cleveland. And I lived in California for about 2 minutes of time, 2 seconds. From November for about 2 months. That dead bird. So, I got a little bit of history on this street. I grew up on a street that is off of this street, runs off of it down there. And I grew up in a house that my father built. How cool is that? He built it. He designed it and built it. very proud of it, and I love that house. If I could get that house back in life, that was one of my dreams. I knew that house because I got OCD, no doubt. But I was a kid that I explored that house, and I knew every single nook and cranny in that house. I adored that house. If anyone was missing something, all they had to do was ask me. I could find it because I snooped too. I knew where everything was. I knew where my things were. I knew where your things were. I knew where everybody's things were. All the things I found in my house. I'll have to talk about some of that someday without implicating anybody. Going back to my car. Oh, now I breathe good. Do a good deep breath. I have had anxiety all my life, and that makes you not breathe well. But that's gotten better. Ooh, that's a train. Is that a train? Man, they got a heavy sound, don't they? Really heavy. There must be different kinds of trains. I know somebody who loves trains. He's fixated on trains. Ooh, it's cold on my forehead. Oh my. My neighborhood has a history in these trains with the neighborhood that I grew up in. I used to do, I'd shut my eyes and imagine that I was getting on a train, that I was on a train and going somewhere else. I wanted so bad to get away from where I was. It's not like there was abuse, but I just wanted to, it wasn't that kind of thing. It was just, I didn't want to be home. I didn't want to be around here. I wanted to escape, probably escape myself. So I closed my eyes at night and pretend I was on a train. Make up a destination or just be going across country, and that would help me fall asleep. And I still do that sometimes. I don't pretend I'm going anywhere though, because I don't want to be anywhere where I am, and that's good. And I'm going to hang up just if I can. I think I got a little bit of ways to go. You guys looking at me. So I used to work here for this lady, Judy was my boss. She was so funny. People in there were insane. People in there were nuts. I'll talk about that in a video one day probably. My nose is running. Peace out, Buttercup. Peace.